join us at some. Good. All right. Jen, if you want to scroll that up a little bit so we can see our, I think the first order of business, whoops, is going to be roll call. And let's see, Linda Clapp. Is Linda here? No. Walt Fraser?
Here.
Judy Glenn? Barbara Hughes?
Here.
Yvette Minor? Mike Neely?
Here.
Nace Nickel?
Here.
John Del Oso?
Here.
And Jenny Simons. Okay, let the record show that for the moment, Linda, Judy, Yvette, and Jenny are not with us yet. All right. We called this particular meeting because we've been working diligently on writing our review. And we hit a stumbling block when it came to our conclusion. And so we did not have a consensus of opinion there, and we wanted to run it by everyone else before we selected either one of those two or did a rewrite and combined them both in some way. So Jen, if we can have you put up the committee report for our viewing. We'll start with what I hope will be quick. The introduction, anybody have any comments on that? That needs to be, it's pretty much the same as what we've used on all the others, realizing that somebody looking at this one may not have read the one from 18 or 19 and may need to just have a refresh of what we're doing and what we've been commissioned to do. Anybody have any comment on that? All right, moving right down to the next part. And I did include, I did include some information about what was going on this year, realizing that somebody may see this 3 or 4 years down the road and may not know the specifics. Barbara, you have a question or comment?
I do. A couple of things. On page 2 of my report, I guess the paragraph that starts on June 1st, 3 months into lockdown. And then the next paragraph says, before we began reopening by June 2021. The year, it's 2 different years noted, and both, there's 2 Junes in there. So I think we should note the year.
Oh, well,
June 1st, 2020 in the first paragraph, and on June.
Okay, the first one is 2020.
Right.
Correct. And then in April of 2021, then we opened on us. So yeah, you're right.
Okay. And then right below that paragraph, I'm wondering if that's the beginning of section 2, because it's not noted, and I didn't see section 2 noted anywhere.
It is the beginning of section 2. So this needs to be labeled section 2.
Ray's people generally take care of that, don't they, Ray?
Yeah.
We do. There's
They
a couple
do
other little.
all our cleanup work. All right. And then this basically highlighted what we were able to accomplish during that 1.5 years of lockdown, being pretty much virtual. All right. So if you want to scroll down through that, and then I broke it down into 3 different ways based on the things that we were supposed to be responsible for. The second one being improving access to libraries. So those were the things that I felt fit under that particular category. And then if you scroll down, this was the part. Anything in yellow that's highlighted like that were things that I've added based on comments from our committee that saw it. So we added some additional things in there and clarified some things. Maintaining aging library facilities. This was some of the additional things that we purchased and did with Measure Y funds to improve the facilities at all of our branches. Anybody have any comment on anything? Barbara?
Just one more thing on, under improving access to local libraries, it says the library will open in late summer 2021. So we're already past summer 2021. So
Okay, let's see
But-
where that was under,
But the report is written as of June 30th, right?
okay, that's what I was wondering. Okay, as of.
That was my question too, since it opened in September.
okay, you lost me on where that was.
Improving access to local libraries, last paragraph, it says the most significant accomplishment.
Okay, it's talking about Roseland.
Yeah.
But shouldn't, our report covers up till June 30th, doesn't it, Janice?
Yes. Oh, I've got it. The most significant accomplishment, the library will open at its new location in late summer of 2021. So yes, so this was written before it opened.
Okay.
So.
Yep.
Okay. That will be in next year's report, I guess, right?
Yeah, because it will have opened after the start of the next year.
Right,
All right. Yeah, because our fiscal year ends
June 30th.
June 30th. So this was written at the end of the fiscal year. And then we added the fact that the move to Roseland is a temporary 5-year lease.
Mhm.
And, okay, anything about?
Roll call. Ray Holly has his hand up.
Thank you,
Pardon?
Jen. In past years, we've, as you mentioned a couple of minutes ago, we've gone through and looked at, done some fact checking and grammar and such. And I think I could rewrite that, that bit about when it opens and something along the lines of at the conclusion of the year being studied, the library was due to open, and we can put September 13th in parentheses or something like that. So
Okay, you
So it
can
doesn't-
clear it up.
it doesn't
clarify
seem
it
like
for
we
us.
made a mistake.
Okay.
And two more quick things in the highlighted areas. I
Mhm.
just wanted to point out that was a 6-year lease.
Oh, okay.
So we can make that correction. And then as you move on to maintaining aging library facilities, I think staff is curious about your meaning when you say upgrading, improving and upgrading the main library. Are you referring to
Oh,
central?
Okay, need to find it. Where are we?
It's just below. It's the next highlighted item, an inch below.
Oh, this one?
If you could go back up, Jen. The beginning of maintaining aging library facilities. There it is.
The main library as well as the branches.
Yes.
I know what I did mean. I think maybe that should read, they should spent improving and upgrading branches.
What, did we do anything to Central?
We're working
Well,
now.
the sorter,
We
Yeah,
did,
that's not
well, the
central.
sorters at headquarters,
Yeah,
and
that's
we
not
did
Central.
do some work at central, but it was after the end of the fiscal year.
So maybe it should say at
hi Judy.
headquarters. I'm sorry I'm late. I was in another meeting. At headquarters as well as the branches. Or as not, it's, what's it called? It's not called headquarters. It's called,
Central.
no, the
Library
admin.
administration.
Yeah. Is that where the sorter is at admin?
Yes.
Yeah.
It is.
We spent improving and upgrading the admin facility.
Except it's really not that's not a fixed item. So it's not really an improvement. It's a piece of equipment. Isn't it?
Yeah, and we are able to move it.
So if
All
you're,
right,
if you're
so
talking
how should
specifically,
that read?
I think if you're talking specifically about the facilities, you can say revenue was spent improving, upgrading the library facilities.
Yeah, because
I like that.
the sorter is below that anyway.
Okay. Library
And
facility.
it does say it's at headquarters. So yeah, I would just say
Okay.
facilities.
All right, that makes good sense. All right. So I will change that. All right, if we scroll down. And then we added this about the reimagining effort since it was launched in our year. And part of the funds were from our Measure Y money.
Yeah, the money that was paid to the consultant came from property tax. But to ensure that we got a good result, we wanted to spread the news as widely as possible. So we used some Measure Y money for
Advertising.
advertising.
Yeah, and I think that's clear there. Spent to advertise the public input survey, all other costs paid from property tax. All right, and I will take the highlights out of that when we get ready to send that off. All right. And then this, Mike, if you want to address any comment, this is the financial summary. We'll take off the revision 3 part because I think this.
Yeah. The beginning notes are pretty much the same, other than they talk about the unaudited observer by 19 and 20 and 20 and 21. So the notes, does anybody have any questions about the comments section?
No.
So I think that I'm using the same figures that Randy has from the county system now.
Okay, and I did grab the right one. I had 2 or 3
Right.
versions, Mike,
Yeah.
and I was praying I'd gotten there. I had labeled them properly when I put them.
No, this is the this is the latest one anyway. I don't think there's anything special in there. So this is new from the previous years. Because there was a question in the committee about how much was spent from Measure Y on various subjects. So I broke out a percentage for each one.
I have a question. Why did we exclude books and programs and events?
Programs, what do you mean exclude?
Well, I don't know. It says that underneath, under number 2.
Okay, so that's the services and supplies. The way the reports from the county come out is that services and supplies includes books and programs and events. So I subtract those since we show them separately.
Oh, I see. I see. But since you,
Yeah, maybe we should redo how that's, maybe the.
I mean, why do we want to do that?
Well, because part of our job is to talk about books and programs and events, and the county reports don't show it that way. Those are included as services and supplies.
But that's not what this is saying. Well, I guess
I mean, we could.
it's not very explanatory that this is different from the county report.
Okay, that's true. We could just take off footnote 2. That doesn't really matter.
Yes, that's what I would do.
Okay, I agree.
All right, so we're going to delete, exclude books and program events.
Yeah, I did
Yes.
that because the reports that the committee gets, this number wouldn't match on services and supplies.
Yeah.
Okay,
And don't forget to take the little 2 off that line,
yeah.
services and supplies.
All right,
I agree.
there we go.
Okay.
So then that just shows the cumulative from the beginning. What we want to show in there is how much total that Measure Y has contributed. And this is where I hope that I'm showing the same numbers that Randy has now. I believe so.
All right. So we're still showing a big surplus again for this year.
Right.
And this basically just reflects in graph form, the percentage split
Right, it's showing, yeah, in a way, it's just showing cumulative how much we've been able to add each year from Measure Y.
Okay.
Oh, and we missed something there, didn't we? Go back up. Could you scroll back up, please, Jim?
No,
Further up, I guess, in the previous paragraph, I guess.
the one income sensitive, that one, okay.
Okay, scroll up a little bit further. Let's see, there's something. Okay, right there. I pointed out, I believe.
Oh, yes, I wanted to talk about that paragraph.
Yes, I thought that should come up.
Yeah, I thought it was at the end.
Yeah, right. And for my mind, that when the property tax capital expenditure, can you scroll down just about a line or two, Jim? Right there. Okay, capital spending from the property tax is 200,000 and it's 2 million from sales tax. I can certainly explain $1.1 million out of it for Roseland. That's mentioned in the wording of Measure Y. But then we're saying we spend another $1 million versus 200,000 from property tax on capital expense. And I believe, to me, that is supplanting property tax expenditure.
All right, so here's my question. If there's not enough property tax to pay these capital expenditures that we, do these capital expenditures we'd like to do, why would we not take it from Measure Y that has this huge surplus?
Well,
I mean,
but there's also a big surplus in property tax.
I didn't think there was.
There was.
I thought most of it's already accounted for and designated.
Maybe planned, but we've had plans in the past that it's not in fact until it's spent.
Do we have on here an income and expense for each?
Yeah, scroll back up.
Yeah, scroll back up, because I thought property tax end up about even.
No, I don't think so. Scroll, let's see. Scroll further up. I think it's higher than that. I don't know. One of them I've shown it. No, okay, it's further down. I'm sorry. It's from the other direction. But no, property tax is also showing a surplus. Let's see.
That's just sales tax.
Just sales tax, keep on going down. Maybe I didn't include that in there, but I can find it here. But I'm sure there is also a surplus in property tax.
Do you know, Anne? Do you remember?
Yes, thank you. I would be happy to address this. We do have a surplus in property tax. Much of it is allocated for specific expenses.
That's what I thought.
And we have to maintain at least 15% undesignated for our stabilization fund. But the other reason that we heavily used Measure Y funds for these projects is because of the language of the measure. It specifically says to maintain aging library facilities. And so we feel that this is an appropriate use of these funds.
Maintain.
Yeah, I felt that too.
Maintain aging library facilities.
Well, maintain means keeping up to date too. I mean, like the sorter. I know that's a sort of subject. That's part of keeping up to date. That's maintaining.
This is really sophistry. You're stretching the expenditure plan to really cover everything.
I don't think so.
And if that's the case, what's the point of having oversight? If really,
well, I don't feel that it's stretching it. I mean, if you read the expenditure plan, it says can only be used.
Go back to the introduction.
Yes, maintain, restore, and enhance. Why is that not part of that?
aging facilities?
It doesn't say that. It says proceeds can be used to maintain, restore, and enhance library services, materials, and facilities.
But not for other purposes. So what other purposes are there?
Well, isn't enhancing isn't adding a sorter enhancing the services?
But, okay, what's left out? What's other purposes then? I mean, what you've done is you've basically done this blanket statement that whatever they want to spend it on, they can spend it on. And
Well, I'm just reading you what it says. So what do you think they can't spend it on?
well, that's what I'm asking you. Where would you stop it? I think last year there was, Mike took exception to including using Measure Y money to do fund enhancement, fundraising
Or marketing.
and marketing. Well, you know, there's two marketing and graphics people who are directly supported by Measure Y money, and there are, 19 others who really are all in the administration section. And all of that's paid for by Measure Y money. But I guess what I'm saying is you're stretching the interpretation of the expenditure plan. So it really covers everything. Basically,
Well-
anything administration wants to spend the money on, they're entitled to. And if that's the case, what's the point of having an oversight?
Well, then I don't think it's very clearly stated in the expenditure plan. Because even if you read the Measure Y Oversight Committee guidelines, roles and responsibilities, it says, there's this sentence I want to read. I'm trying to find where to start this. Okay, money is deposited in the fund shall be used exclusively for library purposes, including maintaining the existing libraries, reversing deterioration, upgrading facilities, services, and collections to support libraries in all the various places. Expenditures are intended to provide the residents of Sonoma County with vital quality libraries comparable to those operated in other Bay Area communities.
So what would be left out of that? Is there anything that would be left out of that?
What do you feel should be left out, Walt?
Well, I don't think the
the right
capital
thing here.
expenditure should be left out. I think it does say somewhere that it's not to go towards increasing administration, although administration does have to be increased to keep up with this larger library service. So
That's true, but then you're saying that we're now funding 3 full-time IT people, 3 maintenance people, 1 marketing, 1.5 delivery person, 2 HR, and 1 accounting person. Is that all due to additional staff that we've added just to increase the branch hours?
I think Ray told us that it was.
Marketing?
It's
No, not.
additional staff and additional services, programs, and technology needs for the library services. I can certainly understand not increasing, not including the fund development position. Obviously, we took that out. I can understand not paying for most consultants. I think pays for staff development under this, but if there are specific things that you feel should not be included, let's talk about that, because I welcome this sense of transparency and responsibility. I want us to do the right thing here.
Well, and Mike had suggested earlier that before these expenditures are approved, it might be a good idea to get some input from the Measure Y committee.
We
Rather
don't.
than, after the fact.
Well, we do run into a bit of a snag there, because the Library Commission is the governing body for the library, and the Oversight Committee their role is to review what has happened and then advise us as to whether they feel it was appropriate or not, so we could make changes in the future.
I guess my question would be, what would you not do at the library if we hadn't used the Measure Y money? Because, again, if I read even just reading the part about supplanting, the revenues collected from the tax shall be used only to supplement existing revenue, not to use to supplant. Well, I don't think we're supplanting, because the property tax money really was all spent. So what do we do? Not do things that the library needs while we sit on this huge surplus?
So in other words, go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead, Walt. Go ahead.
No, I guess I would argue that if administration makes or the commission makes a series of choices about spending property tax money, and they go over the amount of money that they have, you're saying that sales tax should make up any differences, that any deficiencies that they have. And that's not the way the expenditure plan was written. And
No,
that certainly
That's not what I'm saying.
that certainly wasn't the intent of the voters when they voted to tax themselves. That didn't give them a blank check. That was the whole point. That's what we're about.
This is John DeLaw. So I just kind of want to add in on this conversation. I would say that it's true, it's not a carte blanche, but I think the voters taxed themselves to have a functioning library, which means that the facilities are in good working order and there's plenty of supplies and plenty of staff. So I mean, I think we're really mincing this up quite a bit myself, but I would see where these expenses were appropriate, and they do fall under, you know, the guidelines that were there and what the voters read if they read about what this tax was going to be about.
Well, I would say that we are at 42 hours a week. The libraries are open right now. That's only 2 hours more than before Measure Y was passed. So have we given them their money's worth?
We have been greatly restricted over the past year and a half, 2 years. We're working toward getting back to normal, and I've set a goal of having us back to normal hours by the end of this calendar year. That it doesn't feel right to me. I agree. I think we should be open more hours, and we're going to get there. But with all of the difficulties, we've had a number of things in our way along the past couple of years.
And it's certainly been, I agree completely, it's been unusual times the last 2 years. I'm just saying, because I believe that it's a staffing issue is one of the reasons that they're not open. And we specifically passed Measure Y to increase the staffing, to increase the hour.
But then that's kind of mixing oranges, apples. That doesn't mean these other things that we've done are not appropriate.
That's true. There's two separate issues there. I agree with you, Judy.
And so I think if we were going to comment on anything, maybe it should be the staffing and explain why it's not up to where the voters expected it to be.
If the staffing was supposed to be in the branches, and that was the intent of the measure, and you have the Measure Y is paying for 19 positions that have nothing to do with the branches, except again through a stretch of the imagination, marketing specialists, IT, HR, collection services, facilities delivery. I mean, come on. That's not increasing the hours. Money is being spent on other things rather than increasing the hours. And that's what Mike is saying. And I agree.
Yes, and we have been adding quite a few staff positions in the libraries as well. And directly related to that, we had to hire more HR people to handle all of those recruitments and new hires.
Right. I can understand, if you have more staff, you have to have more admin. That's natural. I'm just saying that seems a balance to me. When the branches are not open in the mornings, Mondays and Tuesdays, because they don't have staff, that doesn't seem right.
Well, we do see that all over the country. That businesses are having staffing issues.
Well, yeah, we're not a staffing issue because haven't hired them. We don't have the people. We haven't hired them.
So this, I'm listening to the conversation and I just want to say that,
Welcome, Yvette.
Hello, we're the oversight. And just like what we did before, when we didn't think something set well with us, we did a percentage. And so I've seen other facilities where they took a portion of a person's salary and split it amongst, a couple different entities. And so if you feel so strong about that, we can, we, the oversight, can go back and say, can we split that up? How much hours are they working towards Measure Y, and how much is it going to be general fund? It gets complicated, but if you want to settle this and feel comfortable with a decision, then we can look at, we, the committee, can look at and say, we would like those incomes, split up into two portions. Because I do agree, some of the people that they're adding in, it doesn't necessarily enhance. And so if that's the issue, then we need to, say that back to the commission and have them vote on that and say, we recommend this or that. And so I do have a question for the marketing specialist.
Yes.
What are they doing in relation to Measure Y? So like, for instance, Roseland Library, they did marketing with a logo and so forth. So I can see that being something to enhance because they did a move and then they're, did this whole logo thing. So I can see that coming out of Measure Y, but if they're pulling, I don't know, something for a board meeting, then maybe not. So it's all about looking at, splitting hairs and how far down do you want to split hairs? And it can become a complicated issue. But if that's the issue, we need to have the discussion and have the commission, make those adjustments.
And I agree with your point, Yvette, in that I don't see how we justify a marketing person on sales tax or Measure Y money.
I would like for Ray to speak to this because the marketing position is doing a lot of support for the staff in the branches.
Okay, maybe, yeah.
Thank you, Director Hammond and committee, Ray Hawley. We can, we can parse this as long as you want. The short answer to what is the marketing specialist doing is, we're letting people know. If you were on our mailing list, you got an email this morning advertising a special monthly commemoration that the library is involved with. That has to be managed, that has to be written, translation has to be managed. We're spending millions of dollars a year on digital resources. And it would be a shame if we spent those funds and then didn't let anybody know they were available. I don't think we can realistically expect people to walk into the branch and say, what's new this week, or go to the website and spend a couple of hours looking around, and following breadcrumb trails, trying to find new things. When we bring the Wall Street Journal, the Washington Post, and the New York Times, to the people of the county of Sonoma for free, we need to let them know.
Okay, that's like, as we're saying, that's access.
Yeah,
Yes,
for me,
definitely.
the marketing specialist is all about improving access. We are letting people know, and you can see it, it's measurable. When we send these emails out, we sent an email out to the community about a program called What Should I Read Next, which increases access, which allows people to interact digitally and physically. The branches got back to us and said, stop, don't do any more, we're overwhelmed. So we're doing a really good job marketing, but it takes people power to do that.
I can understand that.
So with that, I'm fine with money being used for marketing. And I do receive the emails, not only from the library, but also the the promotion that the library is doing with the schools. I have kids in school and I'm receiving the emails from that as well. So I do see it. And so we just needed some clarification in regards to what is the marketing specialist doing. And so, and if anybody have additional questions into that, I think that's warranted. Money's coming out of Measure Y, because if the library has measurable means of seeing an increase of people coming to check out items, that's what we want, right?
Improving access.
Yeah.
Specifically stated there.
Let's move down and take a look at those two conclusions and see what we want to keep and this one is conclusion A. And we have two different ones with, when I look at them, there are things I guess I want to intermix them. There's some things I like about one and some I like about the other. So I don't know if the best way is to take it paragraph by paragraph and see if it's a keeper or if we want to change it in some way. Anybody else have a suggestion how to go about this?
I agree with you, Janice.
Okay, let's take a look at conclusion A. The first one says the library's biggest challenge over 2021 has been to forecast revenue and expenses under COVID and to budget for them appropriately. The 2021 budgets for both the general fund and the Measure Y fund reflected an expected shortfall in revenue. As revenue continued to exceed expectations through the year, Measure Y revenue not only met budgeted expenses, but exceeded them, creating a $3.5 million surplus for the year. By reallocating some budgeted capital expenditures from the general fund to the Measure Y, as well as reducing total capital spending from budgeted amounts, the library was able to avoid a deficit in both the general and sales tax sides of its operations.
Well, that $3.5 million surplus was in the sales tax. The property tax had a $2.8 million surplus.
But that's all designated, as Ann said.
Well,
maybe we need to state that.
And I guess my thought
is it all designated?
Was the fact that it was not budgeted, and did this cause a difficulty for the library, Ann and Ray? Or are we just thinking it did? Did that actually cause a difficulty? It says, I'm wondering if, because we had not budgeted accurately, did that cause you difficulty throughout the year when the revenue increased? Or no? I mean, are we making an issue that wasn't an issue?
Well, to me, the issue would just have been that the library could have expanded its budget, but that's hard to do because it was so unknowable. I mean, they actually, cut expenses in their budget from what they originally wanted to spend. So
that was off the get-go when they thought there was going to be a shortfall.
Yes. So, could they have adjusted their budget and added some of those back as they saw revenues increasing?
Yeah.
And that was the difficulty of not knowing.
And that you're exactly right.
Okay, so would it have been better then, Ann, to readjust the budget then throughout the year? Would that have made a difference?
It might have made a difference, but we had so many difficulties. We weren't really prepared we didn't have enough knowledge to forecast for a while there. And then we weren't prepared to readjust the budget and start bringing people back and doing all of these projects because of the other difficulties due to COVID. So I don't know that it would have made much of an overall difference.
Okay.
My question is, now that we know there's a surplus, is there a possibility for it to be readjusted?
Is there what? Can you repeat the last part of that?
Now that we know there's there's money available, is there a possibility to readjust the budget?
Well, that'd be for next year. That's be for the current fiscal year. You can't change last year.
That year is past. That's a done deal now.
Yeah,
We can readjust future budgets, but we have to live with what we've got in the previous ones.
Yeah,
We
yeah,
came up
and-
with a surplus.
and we do have to budget for spending that, because voters aren't going to vote us that tax again if we aren't spending it.
That's right.
What a problem.
Yeah, it is a problem.
A nice problem to have, but yes, we do have to make plans for use of that. Okay,
Well-
so is there anything that needs to be changed then about that first paragraph? Okay, we'll leave that. Second one, we're satisfied that
Yeah,
all
so-
capital items purchased with Measure Y funds were appropriate Measure Y expenses. However, we suggest that going forward, the library staff review their budget throughout the year, and as circumstances change, they adjust it accordingly. It would have been preferable if the large increase in the Measure Y spending on capital improvements had been reflected in an updated budget in addition to its approval by the Library Commission. Basically, that's the same thing that
Well,
the first paragraph said, isn't it? In essence?
well, and the first sentence is my issue. I'm still not satisfied that Measure Y should be picking up.
I
all-
know, that's our big sticking
That's
point
our,
here.
yes, that's the bugaboo.
I mean, we have surpluses in both accounts. It seems silly that, that we're discussing that, but we promised the voters something, and I'm not sure we've delivered.
Well, what did we promise them that we didn't deliver?
Well, more
I mean,
hours,
we talked about the hours
okay.
and we know why, so maybe that's more the issue.
And maybe we need to spell that out in
Yeah.
this particular spot here that,
Yeah, I don't think it's one or the other. I mean, why can't the capital expenditures be okay? Because we could have also been able to budget for all that, those additional hours. The issue around that, it sounds like, was not that we didn't have the money, but that we couldn't, because of, COVID and all the other challenges, we couldn't be open all those hours. And maybe that's more what we need to talk about.
So maybe just saying that, what you just said, because of COVID, we had to do adjustments, and that's why more of the money was used for the capital. Just say it just like that.
I don't know that that's true.
With a $3.5 million budget, and maybe this is a question for Ann and Ray, we would have been able to be open all the hours we promised people, wouldn't we?
Easily.
Okay, so I mean, it wasn't a money problem. It wasn't trying to hoard the money that we didn't open for more hours. It was a physical problem more.
It was the
Definitely a
COVID- it was the
physical
COVID
problem.
restrictions that was in place. That's why we was not allowed to have the full hours.
That's right.
So say that, I mean, that was a mandate, a state, federal mandate. And there's no way of getting around any of that when we was all sheltering in place.
Yeah, I think that was more of our big challenge rather than forecasting revenue and expenses. We were just worried about whether we'd be able to reopen at all.
Mhm.
Well, I think we should put something in there about hours, and Janice, that the hours were reduced because
The
of-
hours were reduced, but they had been increased before. We
Right.
added Monday hours and Saturday hours, and we were making progress toward expanding even further.
I was waiting for those Sunday hours.
That's
No, what I'm saying is that we should say that they were reduced from what they were pre-COVID. We had to reduce it for explainable reasons, and that reduced the expenditure and manpower supposedly, or salaries and expenses, salaries and benefits. And we should
I
say
agree with
why.
what Mike is saying and how he stated it. It should be worded like that. Pre-COVID, we had hours and there was increasing hours, but because of COVID, the hours were reduced.
Right.
And now that we're
And-
kind of coming out of COVID. We're building back up to those hours. Right, correct, Ray? Yeah, okay.
That's right, yes.
And then say something, stay tuned to next year, I don't know.
Okay, so Judy, did you get, are you
Oh,
comfortable?
no, I thought you were taking the notes. I'm sorry.
No, this
I
was
get
your
it. Yeah,
guys'
no, I
conclusion.
understand it. You want me to write that?
Yes, I do.
Okay, okay, I will
Okay.
write that.
So hours reduced from hours had been reduced from our pre-COVID hours, but because of COVID restrictions, I think you got it.
Yes,
Then we had to bring them, we had to reduce them.
yeah,
And we're in the
Okay.
process now of restoring hours.
okay, okay.
Restoring and adding hours.
Restoring and adding hours. Okay.
Okay.
All right. And then, Mike, are you comfortable that we're satisfied with the capital items purchased, or are you still fighting that, you
I'm
and Walt?
still saying why is Measure Y picking up all of the capital expense? Most of it's 90% of the capital expense.
Because property tax didn't have the money to do it.
They have the money, excuse me, they have 2.8 million surplus.
And just told you that's all reserved.
Not all of it.
And how much of that is unreserved?
We have a significant portion that is unallocated, but by our lease that allocated as part of our stabilization fund. So that is part of this issue, and the other part is the language of Measure Y that specifically says that it should be used to maintain aging facilities and expand and whatever they
And enhance.
yes.
So maybe we need to add, because you said, Ann, it was 15%, that maybe we need to add that so people realize that yes, there's a surplus, but the library has to maintain 15%. What is it called?
Yeah, it's a reserve. It's
Stabilization
15%
fund.
reserve. That is why that number is so large. So people don't see, oh, it's 2.8 million and they're not spending. It's there because of the reserve. So people need to know that it's a reserve.
But it's still not clear to me what was available or is available of that 2.8 after the designated amounts and the 15%. How much is still available?
I will have to look that up for you.
And that seems kind of meaningful to this conversation.
Okay. So we still have some difficulty with that particular paragraph. So let's set it aside for the moment. I think this next one we can all agree on. The library has been without a chief financial officer for more than a year. This has made it difficult.
Can you scroll down, Janice?
I don't have access, Jen does.
Oh, I'm sorry.
This has made it difficult for our committee to obtain reporting in a format that aids our review of Measure Y spending throughout the year and at year end. We encourage the library to make every effort to fill this position as soon as possible. Yeah, we're definitely in need of someone that can provide us with timely, accurate, and the reports that we need.
And you'll be happy to hear that we have made a hire and the new person
Hallelujah.
on November 1st.
Coming on board November 1st?
Yes.
Okay, terrific. So that will not be an issue for next year's reporting. Let's hope we can keep them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so we can leave, I think we're all in agreement. We want to leave that particular paragraph in there.
right. Yes.
And then this next one, again, also is an issue. The library is far behind in obtaining its annual financial statement audits. Audit for 18-19 was just completed in July 2021. We strongly recommend the audits for the years ending 2020 and 2021 be completed as soon as possible, and that in the future audits are completed within a few months of year's end. So I think, again, that's that's an easy one for all of us to be in agreement with. And I'm sure Ann and Ray are in agreement with that as well. You know, it's just,
Certainly are. And those remaining audits are in process now. Should be
Yay.
before the end of the year.
okay. So we can expect that we will have those results next year to work with. Okay, and then the last paragraph in this, our final concern is that the library has been accumulating a surplus in the major Y funds for several years. We recognize that this has been created in a large part by the interruption in operations due to COVID-19. It's our understanding that prior to COVID, much of the surplus was designated for library branch refreshes and updates, and that those had to be put on hold when COVID occurred. We recommend that the library update its plan, including a timeline for the use of the surplus, and begin executing the plan as soon as possible. Is that happening, Ann? Are we?
Is we're conducting a new facilities master plan now, and we plan to have a list of projects that need to happen for our facilities and put them in priority order and start working them.
I understood that you actually came out with that plan about a week ago. No, you didn't publish that?
Nope. No, it's
Oh,
not.
okay.
We had the staff input, and we're going to have input from other groups as well.
Oh, okay. Okay. You're still collecting input. Okay.
Okay. If we can scroll down and let's look at conclusion B and see if there's any of that then that we want to incorporate into conclusion A. Again, it has the problem with the chief financial officer. That is a duplication. This one does highlight the opening of the Roseland branch.
I think we should include that because that's a significant
That
expenditure.
is significant. So maybe we can improve, Judy and Walt, maybe we can incorporate that one into conclusion A.
Okay. The
then-
Roseland part, yeah.
And then the final comment here is the one that, again, raises everybody's hackles. Let's see. That the administration has also allocated sales tax money to expenses not approved by the voters, such as admin, marketing, human resources, and capital expended, which should be covered by property taxes. The library needs to remain aware that voter approval of the sales tax was conditional. So how do we want to handle that? I know Judy has expressed her opinion.
I'll be quiet for a while.
No, I don't have to be quiet. And we know that, you know, where Walt and Mike stand on this. Barbara and Nace, we haven't heard from you guys on this. What is your opinion?
This seems to me to be an issue that has much less to do with the amount of dollars that are available and all to do with the appropriateness of the expenditures. And I guess it's still a little frustrating that we talked about this some months ago and said we needed to put together some protocols and priorities around spending and identify how the funds should be spent. And that still, as far as I know, has not been done. So I don't know. I don't have an answer to this. I'm okay with this paragraph being in there, but it is a little bit inflammatory.
Yes.
So it's going to certainly raise some eyebrows.
Nace, you have comments?
Well, I kind of what Barbara was saying. I mean, I don't know that we want that to be in the public record, but I don't know what we have to address the concern that we have. So, you know, I guess we need to think about how to say this. It seems like, yeah, I don't know. It seems like we're at a kind of a philosophical debate about it more than anything, I guess. You know, which part is supposed to be for improvements and which part's not. So. if we had specific categories, it'd be helpful.
Well, I know for me, we can take, for me, marketing can be taken out of that equation because
right.
of what was said. And then the human resources portion,
We kind of
that,
talked about that too, right?
yeah, we talked about that. So some of the things we talked about, we can take, to me, we would, I guess, vote on it or something, can be taken out of that statement. Like the marketing and maybe human resources, because you need to hire more people. So that seems plausible. But for some of the other stuff, then that's a conversation we can have.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm okay with that.
That was okay?
So
I'm not sure if we-
the problem, the sticking point as I see it is the capital spending. Am I off
Yeah.
base on that? That we tend to feel that more of it should have come from property taxes than from sales tax revenues. Ray, or not Ray, Mike, is that where we're headed with this?
Yeah, I mean, that's the main thing to me. I mean, I just think that we need to keep in mind, I'm all in favor of doing everything good that we can with Measure Y. What I'm worried about is that we have to go up for renewal of the Measure Y before long. And we have a strong anti-tax movement in the county. We don't want them to be looking at these expenses and saying, wait a minute, we gave you money and you didn't give us what we paid for. Because if Measure Y is not reauthorized, then we're going to have a serious problem for the library. Is that right, Ann?
Exactly right. Which is all the more argument for maintaining the funding for marketing, because we have to keep people aware of what we are doing for them in response to Measure Y spending and property tax spending. But I think I have a memory that at the last Measure Y Oversight Committee meeting, we talked about our plans to split expenses with the 67.33% that reflects what we're getting in terms of our revenue. I can go back and look at my notes from that meeting. If there are specific ways that we should be looking at it differently, we can certainly talk about that with the commission as well.
I think it would avoid, we want to remove all potential targets, I guess is my point.
I agree with Mike in that you definitely want to not be the moving target. And they just sent out a survey for some tax here in Santa Rosa. And people are really scrutinizing it. And if you're going to do that split, that's something that needs to be, I guess, highlighted right now. And let it be known that we're going to be doing the split and that people are aware of that. So, like what Mike said, people are not, oh, well, they're using all the money for the wrong stuff. And it's going to be tough because there's a lot of taxes and things coming up for reelection in the next couple of years. And some people are good and some people are not happy.
Well, what if the library designated these positions with different titles? Marketing, definitely sounds like we're marketing to raise money or whatever. I don't know what, but
I guess I have the same problem with the term marketing.
Yeah, I think it's terminology.
Of not the way it's being used by the library.
When we say marketing, we mean public education, letting.
Yeah, so maybe we say public education instead.
Yeah, I think that could lead.
Maybe the category needs to be renamed.
So what if we said something like, while it appears that some of the money was spent inappropriately, such as for administration, marketing, etc., after long discussion with the library staff, we have recommended redefining their positions to better reflect the use of the money, or better reflect how these positions operate, what these positions cover, something like that.
Do we even want that in a report? Do we want this part of the public record? I mean, I think we have the discussion and maybe the library takes it and changes the title, but I don't know if we want to put it in a public record that we questioned.
Yeah. So, rather than saying they spent the money incorrectly,
Right.
please define, library, please define your positions better.
Yeah.
Yeah, I tend to agree with Mike on that. I think, we brought the point up to them, and I think they can redefine it as, in a way that we'll understand and others will understand how that money is being used.
This is John. Can I add something to this conversation?
Please.
Yes, please do.
I think I want to just be somewhat judicious in how we all choose our words. And sadly, I'm talking off the top of my head, so this is dangerous, but I would say that if we're using a term like redefining, it sounds like we're just going to change this to make you guys, the public, feel okay with it. And that's not really what we want to do here. I think maybe it's something more along the lines of ask the library staff to further clarify the positions that are being paid from Measure Y monies,
Right.
and what those roles are. I think that might be a little softer, but it's saying the same thing. I don't know how you guys feel about that.
So I think that's a good approach, but are we still going to chastise them because of the way they define these positions in their reporting?
I don't think so. I don't see, I don't think we should call attention to it personally on that, since if we're satisfied that the marketing is actually being done for something to improve access to the library,
Right.
I don't think we should call attention to it.
Agreed.
There's the commissioner and Ray that want to speak, and I would like to hear what they have to say.
Hi,
they
this is
still
Deborah
there?
Doyle, Commission Chair.
Commissioner Doyle.
And I'm sorry to interrupt. I think that this paragraph is a little concerning, and I think the robust conversation you're having is terrific about it. I would also say that because the library has been doing a reimagining process, a strategic planning reimagining process, and really looking out in the community, that this is a perfect opportunity to kind of redefine some of those roles for the future. And so, but I think as both Janice and Barbara, I think, and Mike have said, I think that this one in the public report is only going to be flagging it for the tax, the folks who don't want additional taxes. And so I think, especially if you say allocated sales tax money to expenses not approved by the voters, I think that is going to be a serious red flag that you might want to consider, because none of us want to have Measure Y not renewed when it comes around. So thanks.
Yeah.
Thank you for your input.
Mm-hmm.
And Chair Brocon Committee, Ray Hawley, I've been listening, and I just have a few comments and reflection. I think it's fair to say that everyone in this Zoom and everyone related to this in any way wants to support libraries and wants to foster and expand and really embody and live the meaning of Measure Y. I think we have, honestly, I believe we have honest disagreements about how we're defining things. I was given an opportunity to talk about why I believe that marketing connects to increasing access. And I think our IT manager and our HR manager could make equally compelling arguments. I'd like to see the commission and this committee have an opportunity to have a conversation sometime in the next few months. Committee member Hughes mentioned, let's put up some guardrails. Let's let the committee provide the library with conditions for how it has to be spent. That's actually not how it works. The committee looks in the rearview mirror and the commission looks through the windshield. And it's the commission, forgive me, Chair Doyle, it's the commission's responsibility, I think, to listen to this, hear you, respect you, and then put these changes in place so that we don't have to have this conversation. And then the last thing I wanted to bring up is this allocation thing. And I want to defer to John Deloso on this because he's run a city, and he and Ann probably the only people who've really sort of run public agencies. In most public agencies, and I've reported on dozens of them in 20 years as a journalist, expenditures for administration, HR, finance, marketing, facilities, they're allocated as overhead across divisions and budgets. And while the expenditure plan may not be as skillfully written as it could have, I think that practice is so common that I think we consider it to be an underlying assumption. I mean, to use Roseland Regional Library as an example, every department in the library went overboard to make that the jewel that it is and to make it work and to make it open on time. And if there was a facilities guy there and he was doing something that was more routine relating to changing out a light bulb, do we want him to stop and clock his time and put that towards property tax? And then he helps hang a sign. And then do we want him to clock that towards Measure Y? I mean, we want to do the right thing and we want to make you happy. We don't want to be in this sort of creative tension mode with you. So I'm hoping we can go forward and figure out how to do that. And since I am a writer, you know, that last paragraph that everyone's concerned about, I think the last direction I heard was a good direction for you to consider. You know, the committee encourages the library to work to, you know, better define that sort of thing, so that, again, we don't want to have this conversation every year. We want to look at all this stuff and celebrate. So thank you for hearing me out.
I agree
Thank
with
you.
Right.
Okay. Thank you, Ray. All right, so where are we at this point? Judy and Walt, are you in a position now to take A and B and mash them together and come up with a conclusion, a final paragraph there that is a little less inflammatory than this one? Again, maybe taking Ray's comment, the committee encourages the library to better define and take it from there. Walt and Judy and Yvette, since you guys are writing the conclusion.
I know for me, I appreciate what Ray said about, you know, the commissioners hearing what we're saying and taking that back and making adjustments on their end, because if the adjustment doesn't happen, we'll be here again, and then the statement might go out to the public the way it is this time. So I'm hoping that the commissioners are really listening and taking our advice, and that they're making these decisions to better define the job titles.
Okay.
And otherwise, we will probably, you know, come forward again and say the same thing that we're saying now. So
Yeah.
with that
I
being
like,
said, go ahead.
no, I was just thinking, I especially liked Ray's comment that the commission looks at it through the windshield and we're the rear view mirror
Right.
viewing this. I think that's the way we have to look at this. We're looking at what has happened and expressing our opinions on that. We're not involved with the decision up front. That's the commission's job.
And so with that being said, I'm clear about what we're supposed to do. Is that all the people clear and good, or do they still have questions or concerns?
Walt, are you still here?
I am. I think I'm the outlier in this conversation. It sounds like everybody else is willing to go for something, as Ray said, we want to look at this and celebrate. He sees the report that, well, he wants to see as the report as, basically a marketing tool. And I guess, I don't see it that way, but as I say, I'm being outvoted. So if y'all are okay with that, if y'all think that, their definition of what the expenditure plan says, you have to vote your conscience. And I guess I would have to vote mine, but I don't have a voice if the rest of the committee is okay with it. I guess I have a lot of problems with it, but
Yes, I know you do.
But we all have a vote.
right.
And if you vote the way you feel.
Mhm.
Well, I think that the conclusion should express at least that there were.
That we
some
have
concerns.
had, yes, there were concerns, and these are our concerns and how we are choosing to deal with them.
Right.
Yeah. And I think that's true of, I think maybe in the capital spending area, we should say the same thing. What I would really like to know is there really any significant money left in the general fund as a surplus from this year that the library could have spent on the capital expenditures? Or do they just, want to keep a little cushion? I mean, it seems to me having a little cushion would be fine. So Anne, I think you said you could find that out for us.
Yes, I can. And to be clear, we are talking about last fiscal year, correct? Not
Yes.
Yeah.
right now. Okay.
Yeah, of the 2.8 million surplus in property tax, how much of it was already allocated?
Yeah, because I would think if we could include that in our conclusion that, the Measure Y was not supplanting, because the library really, any surplus, the bulk of the surplus that it had was either designated or required to be held as, well, I wrote it down, the reserve.
Contingency reserve.
Yes, right. Yeah.
And can we get that broken down that way? What is the reserves, and then also what is designated? Can we get that broken down that way?
Well, it's 15%. They're required to keep 15% of the revenue as reserves.
Of the revenue? Okay. Well, then I just need to see what total revenue, and we have that, what total revenue was. Right,
Yeah,
everything's
30
in there.
million. Or no, it's 20 million.
Okay,
Plus,
so
yeah.
the 20
Total
million,
property tax revenue is 20 million.
what was that?
The total property tax revenue is 20 million.
Was 20 million?
Right.
So 15% of that would be what, 3 million?
3 million.
Yeah, which is over the 2.8 surplus.
Well, maybe I'm wrong on the.
I will look up the numbers and send it to you.
Okay, yeah, rather than us guessing.
Okay, so I think then what we need to do is to allow, let's, Jen, will you bring on the last couple pages there after they conclude? Yeah. Okay, so hopefully everybody has checked and made sure their name is spelled correct on this page, and that I have the right commissioner for them. Jen, you want to scroll? I know I've already corrected in mine, John Del Osos. We need another L in there. Okay, and then the last page.
About the committee members, Commissioner McBain appointed names.
McDane, would you say that again, please?
Commissioner McBain, MC capital B-A-N as in Nancy E, Sam McBain.
And the first name?
Sam.
Sam. And you spelled that M-C-B-A-N-E.
I'm sorry.
You spelled
M,
that,
M as in Mary, C, B as in boy, A, N as in Nancy, E.
okay,
She's
instead of
Sonoma.
Deborah Joy. Is that for Sonoma County also?
Nace was Sonoma County,
Okay.
Mike Windsor.
All right, so I will correct that.
Could I ask a very small little change? It's
Sure.
stupid, but I would rather have my name say Judith, Judith, instead
Okay.
of Judy.
Definitely
It
can do that.
just sounds a little more formal.
All right, I can make that an easy fix. All right, and scroll down then to the last page.
Pardon me, Chair Brokaw. Ginny Simons has resigned also, so we'll have to remove her.
Okay. Was not aware of that.
But she was a member of the committee as of June 30th, wasn't she?
Oh, she may have been. That's right when I started. I'll look at that email.
Okay.
Okay, I won't take that off until I hear otherwise. Last page. Acknowledgements. Would like to express our appreciation to the Sonoma County Library Graphics Department. I'm assuming they're going to do their magic on this for its help in preparing this report. To Randy Seipel for support with financial data, to Ray Hawley for his knowledge of programs and collections, and to Jen Swenson for all her logistical support. Did I leave off anybody? Okay. All right. And I would like to see, I'm thinking in terms of some kind of graphic, a picture of the Roseland Library. That's what I'd like to see.
Oh, that would be nice. Yeah.
Yeah, if there's one of those available, either in the front or here at the end after the acknowledgements.
Will do.
Okay.
So the three of us, Walt and
You and Yvette and Walt.
and we'll get together again and work this out.
And work that conclusion out. And then.
What's our next deadline for that?
Okay, Ray, you gave us a date that we had to have the finished form to graphics. Do you remember what that was?
I'm
I had
sorry.
written down final form by October 25th. Is that too late?
Oh, no, he has to get it, has to go to the commission on the 25th.
Okay, so what we need, we need to have a, looking at my calendar, this is the 11th. We need to meet next week with this.
Ray, could you go ahead and start on the first three sections now?
If you can just go through, make whatever changes you've made and send me this draft. We'll start the graphic layout. And as you send me updated text, we will keep updating it, and then you'll get to see it in its final form before it goes to the commission. But we're definitely in the clock is ticking mode here.
Oh, I know. It did not help that both Mike and I were out of commission for pretty much most of September.
Janice, may I make a suggestion?
Yes.
If Judy and Yvette wanted to get together and put something final together, I'm going to be leaving town for a couple of weeks. I'm going to be doing a Mike and Janice, and I'm going to be going on vacation. So
we can't say anything about that.
I'm going to be away for the next 3 weeks, but I will have internet access and I'll have my computer. So what about if, so Walt, would you be available to review drafts and that?
No, I'll trust you guys.
All right. So Yvette, how about if I write these up, these two changes? We have two changes basically, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. And then I'll send it to you and we'll try to, and so what's our deadline to have that back to Janice or to somebody?
Could you have it to me by next Monday?
Yeah, I'll be home until then. So
yeah, if you can, and then Ray, I will go ahead and make the corrections on my draft and send you this beginning start with everything. I'll have everything except the conclusion.
Yeah, our graphics team is very taxed right now with a lot of projects, and we're we're actually a little short. Our extra help person has moved on. So if I could get what you have by Wednesday.
I will take care of that
And,
tonight.
and we can try to, Yvette, I'm sure you agree, we can try to get this before next Monday, the conclusion.
Well, yeah, then you're only talking about one page.
Yeah.
This whole right up.
Yeah, I mean, this should not take long, so I'll try to write it the next day or so, get it to Yvette, and then we'll get it to Janice. We'll send it to you,
Okay.
Janice. Okay.
And then
How's
I
that
will-
sound, Yvette?
Well, really quick, the committee, do we have to approve it? Or are we gonna just send it through, have everybody read through it? Because remember, we had typos and stuff like that the last time. Do we want to do anything like that?
If I could make a suggestion,
Yes, please.
if you send me your information, reading through this draft, I did see a couple of very minor typos and some extra spaces and things like that.
Oh, I know
It's-
on mine, I
it's-
tried to do some corrections and my computer would not allow me to line things up the way I wanted to for whatever reason.
That's okay. It's my intention that you'll see the graphic version in a PDF. And at some point, the committee chair will tell us we're good. And then we lock it and we don't change it again until the commission sees it.
Okay, so do we need to meet again together as an entire group before this final thing is ready to go to the commission?
Can we do it by email? Just
Yeah,
send it
can
out
we?
and let people,
That would be nice if we could.
Yeah, I would say we all read it and then we dive into it and then we put our comments and send that back to Ray and then move forward from there.
Or I think better,
To Janice.
send all your comments to me directly and then I'll be the submittal to Ray so that he isn't inundated with.
Sounds
Yeah.
good to me.
All right, so come through me and then I'll send them all to Ray.
So when you get our conclusion, you'll include that?
Yes, I will then send that on to Ray.
Oh, okay, okay.
Okay, so.
But I
send
mean,
it-
no, I mean, include that in what you send out to the whole committee, or you're talking about, we're looking at today's version. I mean, don't you want the whole committee to see the conclusion too?
Oh, absolutely. It's not, once, I'm going to submit what we have without the conclusion by this Wednesday. Soon as you get me the conclusion, I will send that to him. He'll have graphics do its magic. And then I think we all need to see, then if you send me the PDF back of that, Ray, then I'll disseminate that to
Okay.
everybody
Oh,
on the
okay.
committee to look at. Then if you see anything else that needs to be corrected before it goes to the commission, let me know and I will send that off to Ray. Does that sound okay?
Sounds good to me.
that's
Okay.
good.
I think that will work. And then we will make our deadline then of getting this to Commissioner Doyle and the commission that first week of November.
Sounds good.
All right, I hope we've done it.
That was a tough one.
Yeah, I knew it was going to be. Okay. If there is no, so we've got pretty much all this set up. We won't need to have, we'll do our final meeting then by email approving that, our report.
Okay.
Good.
Okay, everyone?
Okay.
All right. Okay,
Thanks,
thank you
Janice.
very much, Jen. I think if there's nothing else, we are going to adjourn and go fix dinner.
And thank
Sounds
you,
good.
everybody, for your participation.
Yeah, thank you
Thank
all.
you, everyone. Thank you, Jen.
Thank you.
All right. And Ray, I will get this off to you.